We are seeing a bounce for Bitcoin from $58,000 to $60,000, but this isn't any relief rally. This is just a momentary pullback, and this is a trap in itself. A lot of people are actually thinking that maybe the worst is over. We have started to consolidate because Bitcoin has started to consolidate at the $60,000 level. But when you actually look what's happening underneath the price, the picture looks entirely different. In this video, I'm going to be explaining why this move is going to be short-lived and why Bitcoin is going to be going down in the next couple of weeks. So here we are on the Bitcoin's chart. And before we get into all of the details, let's just quickly recap what has happened and what even got us here in the first place. So first things first, back in May, we got a hot CPI print at 4.2%. That was the highest inflation reading in years. Then in mid-June, Kevin Warsh held his first FOMC meeting as Fed chair, and it was noticeably hawkish. He removed forward guidance, which basically means that the Fed stops telling us what they're going to be doing with interest rates going forward. Now, on top of that, we saw record outflows from Bitcoin ETFs, over $4.4 billion in just a few weeks. That selling pressure is literally what crushed Bitcoin down towards $60,000. So this drop wasn't random. It was driven by higher inflation expectations and a more hawkish Federal Reserve. Now we've seen a bounce from roughly $58,000 up to $60,000. On the surface, it looks like some buying interest is coming in, but here's the problem. Nothing fundamentally has actually changed. ETF outflows are still at a net negative. They've slowed down from the extreme levels we saw in early June, but we're still seeing daily redemptions in the hundreds of millions. So institutions are obviously still selling. Now, actually, the interesting thing is that long-term holders are currently sitting at a loss. So the long-term holder SOPR recently dropped to its lowest levels since 2023, which you can see right here. We can see that in the snapshot, the long-term holder SOPR is sitting at 0.616. It was last time saw back in 2023. So that means even the strongest hands in Bitcoin are starting to sell. Meanwhile, money is rotating into the AI trade. The S&P 500 keeps making new highs while Bitcoin is obviously lagging. So this isn't new money coming into crypto. It's money leaving crypto for other risk assets, such as any AI plays. So you need to understand what's actually controlling Bitcoin's price right now. Number one thing, which of course is the king, it's ETF flows. As long as institutions are net redeeming, there is consistent selling pressure on Bitcoin. Whales can buy some of it like they're doing right now, but they can't absorb hundreds of millions in daily selling forever. Number two, it's the Federal Reserve. Kevin Warsh has made it very clear that he's not in a rush to cut rates. Even if June CPI comes in cooler on July 14th, the market is still unsure how he's going to react. That uncertainty keeps institutions defensive. And number three is risk rotation. So while Bitcoin is struggling, the broader market is clearly rotating into AI and tech stocks. This tells us that, of course, there is still appetite for risk assets, but it's just not going to Bitcoin right now. So all of these three things are still in place. That's exactly why I think that the bounce that we're seeing right here, or the consolidation that we're holding, is not going to last long enough, and we're still going to be breaking down and reaching new lows. So what would need to happen for me to change my mind? Well, first we need to see sustained positive ETF flows. So not like 1 or 2 green days, but actually a trend. Consistent inflows over multiple of weeks. So once we flip in that, this is going to be the main thing that will change my mind. Second, we need clear signals from the Fed that they're becoming more dovish. Right now, that is clearly not happening. And third, we need Bitcoin to actually hold above $60,000 for a while with strong conviction before we see any changes and volume, right? Because right now this move still looks like shorts covering and a very low volume relief rather than actual consolidation forming. So if Bitcoin loses $60,000 convincingly, I think everyone's sentiment is going to be shifting very quickly because we've already seen long-term holders capitulating. If price breaks even lower than $60,000 and triggers more selling from both retail institutions, we could see a fast move towards $50,000. And this isn't being about bearish forever. This is literally respecting what macro and on-chain sentiment we are having right now. Basically, to summarize, the bounce from $58,000 to $60,000 is happening while ETF flows are still negative. Alongside that, the Fed remains hawkish and money is rotating into other risk assets and the stock market, which of course these three factors are all bearish for Bitcoin. So until we see those change, until we see real improvements in flows and clear shifts of Fed policy, this move really looks like it's going to be trapping a lot of positions buying at $60,000 right now, rather than starting a relief rally or a new uptrend. So I'm not saying that Bitcoin won't be going up eventually. I'm saying that right now the BAF, the least resistance, looks like it's lower.